Here we're going to conjugate these 5 verbs, partir, rester, aller, arriver, devenir. We're going to conjugate these 5 verbs in passé composé. And we're going to use êtres as the auxiliary verb. The reason why we're using êtres as the auxiliary verb, it's because partir, rester, aller, arriver, devenir, they are found in Dr. Mrs. Van Tramp list. If the main verb is found in Dr. Mrs. Van Tramp list, we will use êtres as the auxiliary verb. We will use êtres as the auxiliary verb. If the main verb is not found in Dr. Mrs. Van Tramp, then we will use avoir as the auxiliary verb. So for these 5 verbs, these are verbs of movement. Partir, to leave, rester, to stay or to remain, aller, to go, arriver, to arrive, devenir, to become. These 5 verbs are found in Dr. Mrs. Van Tramp, so we are going to use êtres as the auxiliary verb. Now, what about the general rule to get your past participle? If a verb ends with er, you cut er and put e acute. If a verb ends with ir, remove ir and put I. If a verb ends with re, remove re and put u. But for certain verbs, we need to by heart the irregular past participles. These verbs like ouvrir, O-U-V-R-I-R, it ends with ir. But you can't remove ir like finir and put I. You have a special past participle for ouvrir, to open, and that is ouvert, O-U-V-E-R-T. So for certain verbs, we need to by heart the irregular past participles. Let's do these 5 verbs, put these 5 verbs in passé composé. So we know we need to use êtres as the auxiliary verb. Jean is your subject noun. The equivalent subject pronoun is he, il, he, third person, masculine singular. So when it is something like il, your êtres conjugation is est. And for the verb partir, you can go with the general rule to get the past participle. You cut ir and put I. Now, if you use êtres as the auxiliary verb, at the end of the past participle, you have to do something called agreement. But if the verb, if the subject is masculine singular, third person masculine singular, then we need not do any changes at the end of the past participle. Like in this case, it is Jean, John, third person masculine singular. It is something like the subject pronoun il. So we need not add anything here. But check out the next one, the verb resting. We're using êtres as the auxiliary verb. Marie is your subject noun. The equivalent subject pronoun Marie is third person feminine singular, E-L-L-E. So your êtres conjugation is est. You go with the general rule to get your past participle. You cut er and you put e acute to get your past participle. Now if you use êtres as the auxiliary verb, you have to do the agreement. So Marie is something like she, E-L-L-E. So you need to add one more e there at the end of the past participle. We need to put one more e there. The next one, verb is aller. The verb is aller. We need to use êtres as the auxiliary verb. But here you see we're talking about 2 people. In the subject noun section, we have Marie et Sabine, Mary and Sabine. You're talking about 2 girls. And the equivalent subject pronoun is E-L-L-E-S, they feminine. So when it is E-L-L-E-S, your êtres conjugation is S-O-N-T. And for aller, you can go with the general rule to get your past participle. You cut er and you put e acute. And to get your, and what will be your agreement? Your agreement will be, you're talking about Mary and Sabine. It's something like third person feminine plural. So your agreement, we need to add an e and one s. This is called agreement. So we need to do the agreement at the end of the past participle only if we use êtres as the auxiliary verb. So according to the subject, we need to do the agreement. If the subject is third person masculine singular, it is E. If the subject noun is third person feminine plural, we need to add an E and one S. Let's check out the next verb, arrive. Here, the subject noun is nu. So your êtres conjugation will be SOMMES. And for the verb arrive, how do you get your past participle? Go with the general rule, cut ER and put E acute. And we need to do the agreement. So what's your agreement? Here, your subject pronoun is nu. It is something like plural, but we don't know whether it is masculine plural or feminine plural. So we'll just take it as masculine plural and add an S as in agreement. Next one. But if the thing is feminine plural, we need to add an E and S. But for now, we don't know whether it is masculine plural or feminine plural. So we'll just add an S here at the end for the subject pronoun no. The next verb, devenir, for that the subject pronoun is tu. So the êtres conjugation will be ES. And for devenir, you remove IR and put I. That's a general rule. For like finir, you remove IR and put I. But for venir, you can't do that way. You can't remove IR and put I like how you do for finir. For venir, you have a special thing, VENU. So for devenir, you need to put DEVENU. And what will be your agreement? We don't know to whom you're talking. It might be masculine singular you or feminine singular you. So since we are not very sure, at the end, for now, to explain, we'll put E within brackets. Because if it is masculine singular, we don't do anything. We just have to remove it. But if it is feminine singular, it's compulsory. We need to add in E. So now, since we don't know to whom you're talking, we'll put E within brackets. So this is how you need to conjugate the verbs that are found in Dr. Mrs. Van Tramp list. If these verbs are found there, since these verbs are found in Dr. Mrs. Van Tramp list, we are using êtres as the auxiliary verb. And if we use êtres as the auxiliary verb, at the end of the past participle, we need to do something called agreement. I hope you've understood. Please check out my other videos to learn more about PASSÉ COMPOSÉ.